live. Welcome to my YouTube channel. I hope everybody's keeping well. I'm Andy Marsh of Marsh Project Solutions. We are a small consultancy firm based in the UK but working internationally. I've decided to create a series of webinars to help laundries overcome specific problems. Today's webinar is all about the things that you can do as we start to come out of lockdown. I'm particularly interested in efficiency, things you can do to help you run more efficiently, but also helping you to think about change, things that you can do to get rid of those niggles that might have upset you before of this and become the best laundry that you can be. The way that this works is I'm going to play the webinar. You can send me your questions via live chat during the presentation, and then I will answer them live at the end. If you don't think I get to your question or get there in enough detail, you can always send me an email at support@mpsl.org.uk, or you can find me on WhatsApp. My name there is Andy Marsh-MPSL. I hope you enjoy the presentation. It's about 22 minutes long. As I say, please send me your questions in, and without further ado, let's get on with it. Hello, and welcome to this new and informative series of webinars. I'm Andy Marsh, and this is Creating a Better Laundry. This week's webinar is called What to Do When Lockdown Ends. It's a guide highlighting things that you can do to make your laundry more efficient whilst you ramp back up to your previous levels of business. Some things are obvious and others are more subtle, but I think all or some of them could benefit your laundry. Hi everyone, and thanks for joining me on this webinar. The reason I put this webinar together is when you start your laundry back up again, it's unlikely that you're going to be back at the volumes you were before the awful situation that we've been in for the last couple of months. I wanted to come up with some ideas to help you utilise your staff to help make your laundry more efficient and in some instances a nicer place to work. So let's start at the beginning, the obvious things. So one of the first things you can do is looking at your steam system. If you've got any leaks, try to fix them. This is going to reduce your energy costs. You don't want to produce steam that's just being pumped out of a crack in a pipe. It's also important from a downtime point of view. If you have a major steam leak, you might have to turn your boiler off, which means you're shutting the whole of the laundry down, unless you're fortunate to have gas ironers, but you'll have steam somewhere. If you have a more consistent steam pressure, you'll have a more consistent steam temperature, which means you'll get better ironing quality. And if you have a more consistent temperature, then your ironers will heat up a bit quicker in the morning, so you can get on with it a bit faster. And the last thing to think about is health and safety. Steam leaks start small and can go big. I've seen what can happen when valves fail or pipes fail. It's not very nice. So you need to consider this from a health and safety point of view. So just with the same as the steam system, you might want to consider fixing any water leaks, especially behind the back of washer extractors. Obviously, water that you bleed down the drain that you're not actually using can cause an issue with future downtime because there's something wrong with the machine if it's leaking or if the pipe that it's leaking. But also, we're all trying to go green. So conserving water is really important in a laundry. I think in the not too distant future, legislation will come in to force laundries to save water. So why not do the easy fixes now and fix all your leaks? Also, if you're leaking water, it might take longer to fill your washer extractors up, which means you get less loads in a day. And again, as with the steam, leaky water, wet floors, health and safety, it's pretty obvious. On the topic of fixing things, why not look at your air system? You can walk around a laundry and hear where the air's leaking out. Why don't you fix those leaks? It's pretty cheap. But what isn't cheap is a compressor to run. It uses a fair bit of electricity. So why would you spend money just to force air through leaks in pipes? Also, the same applies with steam and water and air. It's going to prevent future downtime. You're going to get less pneumatic issues on your machines because you're not going to get as much water in the system. If you've got holes in the system, water can condense in there when the steam isn't under pressure. So therefore, you're going to get drier air delivered. So air valves on machines are going to work for longer and not need the seals changing as often. And again, I know I keep banging on about it, it's health and safety. 8-bar air pressure could fire a small piece of swarf metal into your hand and it'd be very painful. So you need to be mindful of this. So I can hear you already saying, how can painting a laundry make you more efficient? Well, it doesn't necessarily, but it's something to do while you don't have a lot of work. Why not make use of that time? Why not get people to tidy up the work environment that they are in, multiple hours a week? And also it'd be good from a psychological point of view. It's true that a clean area is always kept tidy because mess is more obvious. And I also think it's going to be good for staff morale. So there comes your efficiency. If people are happier, they tend to be more productive. So we all know that lint is the bane of a laundry's life. So why not use this time to get up in those high difficult areas to clean the lint right out? It may have been there for years. It's very, very difficult to get rid of. And we all know lint is a fire risk. We only need to look at the news. There's a number of laundry fires every year. So get that lint out of those places. Also, if it's not up high, it can't get blown down into machines. So, hire a cherry picker, get an access platform, try and get the lint out. And also it's a nicer working environment. Working with masks on might become a thing after the COVID-19 outbreak. So from a health and safety point of view, if you can have a tidier workplace with less lint in the atmosphere, I think everyone will be happier. You're not going to get any lint redeposition on linen, onto ironer cloths, into machines. So, it's a great use of your time. Laundry machinery is expensive, isn't it? So take this time, open up control cabinets, give them a hoover out, take any fluff or lint that's built up in there, have an inspection, see what's going on. It will pay dividends in the future. You might spot things going wrong with the machine that again is going to prevent future downtime, which will make your efficiency higher. Look at all the belts on every machine, feeders, folders, towel folders, conveyor belting. Clean them or renew them if you've got any broken ones or damaged ones. A damaged belt is going to break in the future and it's going to cause you downtime. Keep a list. Have a look at the machines. Anything that's not quite right, that's okay at the moment, that might need replacing in the future, have a look at that. And again, I'm banging on about it again. If machines are in better working order, the risk of a health and safety incident is lower. I've mentioned health and safety in every slide so far. So why not look at your health and safety regime? Look at your fire risk assessment or do one. Does it need adapting? Has it changed? Look at your COSH assessments. Are they up to date? Have you got the safety data sheets for every chemical you have on site? Have a look at your walkways and your exits. Could you plan them better? Do they need to be marked better? Do you have the right signage up? Health and safety is really important. Do you have an alarm system? It might be worth having a look at all of your alarm contracts. You might be able to hammer out a better deal. But look, is it working? Does it need replacing? Is it in the right position? And why not take this time to train people in basic health and safety, or even first aiders? The more people that understand the health and safety of your laundry, the safer the environment. The safer the environment, the more efficient you're going to be. An investigation by the HSE is no fun. And if you can run a tight and tidy ship, you really do eliminate risk. Every laundry relies on trolleys, cages, carts. Some laundries have rail systems and conveyors, but you're still moving stuff around on wheels. Why don't you have a look at your current stock of cages and trolleys? Look for the ones that have got the damaged edges, the broken wire, the square wheels. Fix them. It's a cheap fix. Ones that have got broken shelves, take the shelves out or repair the shelves. The more cage stock you have, the easier it is to move your stuff around. And it's important that you give them a clean. Dirt can build up in the corners of places. And also, I think all laundries are going to have to start proving some sort of cleanliness tracking for linen. And why not number them? Create an asset register for your carts. Carts and cages and trolleys go missing all over the place. If you have an asset register, you can keep control of them. They're not cheap. Why not take care of them, save a few quid, and look after your cage stock? So all of the things we've talked about so far are pretty obvious. They're basics. They're laundry basics. I understand. I've run laundries. You get very, very busy getting the day job done, and all of those tasks can sometimes be forgotten, and it takes a big effort to pull a team together in at the weekend, to hire a cherry picker, to do what it is to keep your laundry clean and tidy and your machines operational. But the next section is going to talk about things that are not so obvious, so let's get on with that. Why not take a look at your stock room or your linen area? Why not count everything that you've got? I know you do a stock count, but it's very difficult. You've probably got a lot more stock on site at the moment because it isn't at your customers because you haven't been delivering. Count the stock, find out what you've got, compare it to what you think you've got. You might have more, you might have less, but it will head off any problems in the future on stock shortages. Have a look at the area. Is it laid out in an efficient manner? Is everything where it needs to be? Create a 5S approach. If you don't know what that is, Google it or contact me via the email address that you can see on the bottom. Basically, it's a place for everything and everything in its place. It's a system of looking at an area and making it organised. You invest a lot of money in linen. It could be garments, it could be towels, it could be bed linen, it could be table linen. Why not get a real handle on what you've got at the moment when you have the time to count it? So we're still in the stockroom or linen area. Why not do a quality assessment of what you've got? If you're counting it, take a look at the linen. Is it fit for purpose? Have you got a million shades of grey, a million shades of white? Are all your colours matched? Why not separate them? And at this stage, I'd be ruthless. A damaged or dirty or substandard piece of linen going to your customer reflects badly on your business. If you can pull it out at source, that's a great idea. Linen is expensive, I understand that, and costs are going to be tight, but what is more expensive is losing a customer on quality. Every laundry runs vans or trucks or lorry. They're all varying sizes, they're all painted in different colours, and we've all got different geographical areas. But you could take this time to analyse any information that you have about your routes. Some of the bigger laundries will have invested in logistics tracking systems, so they'll have all this information. But why not have a look? I'll give an example. Why not take a route and see the mileage and the hours that they are doing on a Monday and compare that to the following Monday and the Monday after that? Are they the same? Are they different? Why are they different? And you'll start to build up a picture of routes. You'll look at your wage cost for drivers, route men, and realise that they fluctuate. And if you've got guys on overtime, that's the area that you need to be attacking. So you might have to do a little bit of route rebalancing. One way to look at that is what I call customer bundling. It's basically volumetrics. Have a look where a van route goes or a van round goes and see if there are clusters of customers in a geographical area that makes sense for that van to go to first. And if the van goes from cluster to cluster to cluster, it will fill up a bit quicker, be able to come back to the depot and maybe be reutilised in another area on the same day. It's not as straightforward as it sounds because, you know, the good old UK, if you deliver anywhere near any of the UK's towns, big towns and cities, it's a disaster traffic-wise. So timing can't be that accurate. But that's why I say look at the mileage, because the mileage can't lie. Study your van rounds, see where they're going, see if there's inefficiencies and eradicate it. Again, if you've got people underutilised in your laundry, you can sit them behind a computer and say, have a look at this, or, you know, even get them out in a van and dummy drive around to see what it looks like. Because if you can save money on transport, that will directly impact your bottom line. This one's self-evident, isn't it? if you have time, why don't you skill your staff to be able to do many jobs? One of the killers in laundries is having people in that can't actually do the jobs that you need them to do, or aren't as efficient as other people on different areas of the laundry. So try to multi-skill your staff. Why not take the guys that normally work on the ironers and train them on the towel folders or in the wash house? Buddy them up with someone that knows what they're doing. If you have the time, get people trained. When you get busier, having a much more fully trained workforce will pay dividends. You'll get more work through your plant in less hours because people know what they're doing. You could also train some competent people on basic maintenance. We talked earlier about looking at the machines. Why not train people on how to take a side panel off when the machine is locked off and safe, clean it out, have a look at belts, and report to your engineering teams anything that they find. Again, anything you can do to prevent a disaster in the future is going to make your laundry run smoother, and now is the time to do it. So the next things that I'm going to talk about are slightly less obvious. They are probably larger pieces of work, but if you get them right, they can have a huge impact in how your laundry operates. The bottom line for me at the moment is I'd like to see a clean slate in the industry. I'd like to see people be able to re-examine what they do, why they do it, and see if there's a better way. So let's get on with it. We've all been locked down, self-isolating, kept away from friends and family, work colleagues. But why not, when we start coming out of this, why not call every single one of your customers? Just a courtesy call to see how they're going. But I have this idea of why not use a person that doesn't normally call the customers? Why not get your production manager or your transport supervisor, somebody that isn't normally talking to the customers, to talk to them? Just to say, hi, I'm Andy. I run the ironer lines at your laundry. I just thought I'd give you a call to see how you're doing. What's your business looking like and how can we help? Not being the usual person, they might be a little bit uncomfortable on the telephone. So you can write them a script. It won't be for everybody, but there will be people that will relish it. And I think customers would really appreciate laundries reaching out, but not the normal people that they talk to. Of course, the service reps can talk to them. You can talk to your customers, but just somebody outside of the norm. I think it will give a bit more of the human touch. And if you can make that connection with your customers early on in the rebuilding of this industry, I think it will pay dividends in the future. One of the things that really has struck me over this last couple of months is how reliant especially the hospitality industry is on the laundries, but also how the laundries are reliant on the hospitality industry. So now is the time to have a look at how you utilize your staff. All of the things I've talked about are going to be short-termish measures to get yourself fighting fit before the industry really kicks off again. So why don't you look at flexible working where you can, working from home? There's been millions and millions of people working from home using modern technology, still being as effective. Think of all the transport miles that would be saved if people could do some of their work from home. Obviously, laundry operatives can't, but why won't you look at, or why couldn't you look at different flexible ways of working, matching the hours that you have on shift with the work that you need to process? One of the real issues in the laundry industry is what comes in through that door for you to process is unpredictable. A lot of you guys out there will have seasonal businesses, and it's a real tough headache to match the number of hours that you have available with the number of hours that you need. In a previous issue of Laundry and Cleaning Today, I wrote about a couple of methods that you can use to flex your hours across the year. One is an hours bank, and another one for slightly larger laundries is rotating shifts. Both have been successful in my experience. If anyone's interested in that, again, contact me on my email address, which is at the bottom, or write me a message and I'll answer it at the end of this presentation. So this idea goes hand in glove with looking at the hours and matching the hours to the workflow in your laundry. I like to look at something called production smoothing. Everybody in laundries, if you walk around laundries, people will go, oh, we have a nightmare day, Wednesday's a big day, or Friday's a horrendous day, or Monday's a horrendous day. What you can do is you look and analyze each day, break it down by different kinds of product that you produce, and see if there's any way that you can smooth that out across the week. Guys that run pool linen services, basically you're conducting an internal stock exercise, and the shelves in your stock room that go onto the vans are your internal customer. So smoothing out your production capacity should be easier. Guys that do customer owned linen, it's a little bit more difficult. But if you look at that point now, I say change external to ease internal. Have a look at when you collect from your customers and see if you can rejig the week so that you work balanced, so that you have a similar amount of work to do every day. It's not always possible. Customers are resistant. They get very used to having collections on certain days. But if you make contact with your customers, like I said earlier on, and start talking to them about more novel ways of going forward, if you can do some production smoothing and change when and at what time you do your collections, you can plan your labor a lot easier, and that will help you be more productive. So these 2 points on workflow analysis are a little bit more psychological. KISS, it's American, keep it simple, stupid. Make your processes easy. Clear paths for things to move around. Do work in the right order. Understand the flow. I've always likened it to one of those kids' puzzles that you slide squares around and you try to make a picture. The important thing about that puzzle is you have an empty square that you can slide things into. Create an environment where the stages of the laundry, it's very easy to get your linen from one place to the next to the next. The shortest place from one point to another is a straight line. Think of it like that. What is the definition of insanity? We know this, don't we? I think Einstein said it. It's doing the same things in the same way, but expecting a different result. If something's not working for you, change it. Have a look, see what options there are for you. It might be you need to put a small conveyor belt in. It might you need a slightly larger washing machine. It might mean you have to slide your packing room hours to slightly later in the day. Whatever it is, think about the things that would aid your business going forward. And again, while you're ramping up to these volumes, you should have time and resource to be able to get these things done so that you're ready for when the customers expect you to be 100% on your game. Enjoyed what I've presented so far. You'll probably notice in a moment when I go live, I might be in a different location or wearing a different t-shirt. I mean, I certainly won't have my guitars or drum kit behind. You can see what I've been doing during lockdown to keep myself sane. Hopefully people will have submitted some questions via the messaging on my YouTube channel. I will do my absolute best to answer them. If you don't think I've answered a question, please email me at support@mpsl.org.uk or try to contact me through Laundry and Cleaning Today. A shout out for them. They've been supportive of me and my column. And I'd really like to think that you would support them as well. They're a great magazine. Thanks very much for listening. I hope I've raised some things that you find interesting. And like I say, if you need me to expand further on anything, please contact me on my email. Keep safe, good luck, and together I think we can get this industry back where it needs to be. Hello, and welcome to this new and informative series of hi, I'm back again. Slight technical hitch there, nearly ran the video again. So I hope that you found that was informative. There is a 20-second delay on this webinar, so while I wait for some questions to come through, I have had a few messages. So I'll kick off with this one. John sent me a message asking me a bit more about production smoothing. It's an interesting concept. A lot of laundries are on rails. They do the work as it's presented to them from the van rounds, and some of them wash it in order, some of them do it in batches. Production smoothing is about looking at the thing in its entirety and seeing if there's anything that you can do to make sure that the amount of hours that you have to expend every day are sort of equal across every day. I know from experience, running laundries that serve hospitality customers that are open all weekend, if you're not running at the weekend, your collections that come in on a Monday are huge because you've got the whole of the weekend's work that's been used in restaurants and hotels, etc. So you have a mountain to climb at the beginning of the week. So you could look at maybe getting some collections and deliveries going at the weekend, not full rounds, just, to ease that burden. Maybe run your laundry for a few hours at the weekend. But during the normal working week, have a look at how much of each of the different kind of product that you have to process and try to balance it out to match the hours that you have available, or flipping it on its head, change the hours you have available to match the work as it comes in. Now, I say in the presentation there, it's not always easy to change customers' collections, days and times. Certain customers prefer mornings, some prefer evenings, some prefer very early mornings. But just what I'm saying is have a look at it and see if there's anything that's possible for you to do so that the amount of work that you receive from the vans is evened out throughout the week, which means that you're trying to produce the same amount every day. I hope that answers your question, John. If not, obviously email me, support@mpsl.org.uk. I've had another question from Sanjay about route reorganisation. It is a tricky one. 20 years ago when I started looking into this, it was difficult. Sat-navs and technology and trackers on vans didn't really exist. And you'd have to use a map and go out and manually route time everything. But these days, there are some pretty cheap systems out there to allow you to analyse where your vans go. But I make the point on the webinar there about looking at the mileage. Because if you create a route, it shouldn't just be to be as time effective as possible. It should be as sort of miles effective or fuel efficient as possible. So what I'm saying is if you compare around a Monday with a Monday with a Monday, and the mileage is different, you should be asking yourself, why is that? Now, a lot of the time there will be some genuine reasons, road closures, traffic detours, traffic, etc., etc. But it won't be every week. So if you suddenly find that you're doing more miles on a Monday than you did the previous Monday, have a look why. It may well be that, the driver is not doing the route in the right order. It may be the customer's called the driver correctly and directly and said, can you contact me and do it that way. So what I'm saying is take the data available to you and have a look at it. Doing a dummy route or a dry runner route is a good idea. If you design a route and you think that it's going to be efficient, get out there and drive it and do it at the time of day that you would normally be doing that route. It's no point doing it in the evening if you're not going to do it in the evening or starting early morning. Do it at the time of day because then you can experience the issues. If you've got any high street customers, parking is always an issue. So on these dummy run route trials, you can also find where the best places to park for your customers are. And then give the data to the drivers. When they're going to take the route up, show them it. Give them as much information as possible. On the modern systems, modern sat-nav systems and tracking systems, you can leave notes for drivers. So have a look at that. So in a nutshell, what I'm basically saying is have a look at the way that you drive the route, how many miles you do, how long it's taking, what it looks like when you get there. And if a driver's taking too long at a customer, speak to the customer. Say, every time we come to deliver, there's something in the way, that, the linen room's blocked, etc., etc. Just take every single piece of data that you have and analyze it to try and make those routes efficient. I know the price of fuel is low at the moment, but that will go back up, as the world comes out of hibernation. But, the less miles you drive to do the same amount of work is the right way forward. Leslie sent me a message about training. What sort of training? Well, what I'm talking about in this webinar is upskilling of your staff. It's very easy when you're pressured to get someone in to say, this is a towel folder or this is an ironer. This is how you do it. And then for the next 5 years, that's all they do. They become very, very good at it. But when you're under pressure, especially if you're trying to look at, the work and production smoothing that I said earlier on, you want to be able to move your staff around the laundry, and you need them to be effective on every machine they're on. And some people don't like it. I'll be honest with you there. Some people like to just come in, do the job and go home. They don't like change. But variation amongst your staff is a good idea, because if they understand all of the other job functions around them, then they can also understand the impact that what they do will have on all of those other areas. And if you think of a laundry process from start to finish, people that sort the linen, if they do that correctly, it helps the people that wash it, and that then helps the people that process it, and then people that pack it. And then if people that pack it do it in the right way, then drivers loading their vans becomes easier. But if you have more people that know all of the different jobs, then it makes life a lot easier for you to just move them around, play chess with your staff and get them in the right area so that you can be as efficient as possible. There's nothing worse in a laundry than a machine not running at the speed that it can run at. A lot of the time, that's because people aren't properly trained. And the other side of the training is basic maintenance. We talk about lint. It's a nightmare in laundries. So the people that run the machine, why wouldn't you give them the skills to be able to clean it so that they can do their jobs more effectively? Obviously, if you're training people to do maintenance duties, you have to make sure that the machine is locked off and safe. If they're cleaning the insides of panels, there can't be any power on the machine. There can't be any danger of that machine running. I'm not saying just push emergency stops in. I'm saying turn the main isolator off, turn the steam off, and get it locked off properly. Let's see, have we got any more questions? Yeah. There's a question about the flow of a laundry from Peter. Hello, Peter. What I'm trying to say is there's an easy route for everything. If you put an obstacle course up in your garden and then you had to sit and look at it and say, right, what's the quickest way for me to get round my garden? You'd find the most direct route. And laundries are the same. But because a lot of laundries, you're tight for space, and moving things from one place to the other can be difficult because you've got other things in the way. If you look at the way that you process work, especially the order that you process it in, you should only be processing the work that you actually need at that specific point in time. So if you need to get something from the wash house to the front of the ironers, you don't want to pile up a load of work in front of it that you don't actually need. So have a look at the way that you process it, but also clear all the barriers out of the way. If you're stacking cages or trolleys up in a gangway that you need to wheel work through, don't do it. If you're finding that people are just leaving things in the wrong area, then get them moved so that when you are ready to move things from one place to the other, there's an easy flow, so you don't lose any time between operations in your laundry. And it works even for people that run monorail systems. If you process a lot of work that you don't actually need to process and you clog your monorail system up, you're basically washing and processing work that you don't need. So have a look at the scheduling of the work through your laundry. Okay, guys, that's just the questions that I've had at the moment. I've been waffling on now for a little while, so I think we'll stop there. Any specific questions that you might have, please contact me at support@mpsl.org.uk. Again, you can find me on WhatsApp, Andy Marsh -MPSL. But also, if you contact Laundry and Cleaning Today, they'll be able to pass any messages on. And again, another shout out to those guys for supporting my column. Stay safe. This has been an unprecedented time for the world, let alone the laundry industry. Have a think about all the things that I've mentioned on this webinar, and keep subscribing to my channel. There'll be more webinars to come. I'm just going to pop another screen up now with my contact details. Thanks very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Thanks.